Culture. This is the podcast about the meaning of concepts in business.
Morning. Good. Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone into our new podcast, Biz Culture. And today we have an extraordinary, amazing guest here, Zan Hoffman. How are you doing?
Awesomeness.
That's good. It's very good to see you. And it's always very good to see such a positive and smiling person. Every time I see you in Kaunas walking down the street, I always think, wow, I admire that. The just positivity and the constant, kind of pursuit of happiness in your eyes. How do you manage to do that, Zan? Tell us your secret.
Well, I'm not like the perfect person. We're not always happy all the time, but I know I package myself up for my awesomeness when I head out the door. I just recognize, like, okay, whatever my little daily situations are, that doesn't affect the fact that I'm ready to hit the streets and be happy,
Of course. Well, we know you as this, independent artist and the personal brand owner. Tell us a bit about yourself, because I know that you're originally from the US and now
Yes.
You've been in Lithuania for some time, especially, as I said, I see you quite often in Kaunas. Tell us just a bit about yourself. Who are you? Who's Zan Hoffman?
Well, I started my creative career as a classically trained violinist. And I picked that up when I was, in fourth grade or something. I heard Brahms' Violin Concerto by Isaac Stern. I was just like, wow, I didn't even know these kind of things were possible. And as a kid, that just thing was something so amazing and larger than life. And as I grew up, I went to college and I started running a cassette label to do experimental music and trade it with people internationally. And that was just sort of the beginning of branding. The beginning of starting my own original thing and then recognizing that it reflects me and whatever I want me to be. And so this was a fun opportunity, I think, in my life to just put my shingle out there and do my thing and see what happens of it all.
Okay. And what brought you here to Lithuania?
Well, I make a long story long. I was touring Europe a little bit and especially finding Spain easy to tour. And my first trip in Spain, I'm playing with my friend Francisco Lopez, and we had a project called San Francisco, because you just have to, pick that low-hanging fruit. And I'm looking at a map of Spain, and he's explaining to me, Andalusia this, and the Basque Country that. And I remember him I point to this one part of Spain that no one goes to in Galicia, about Portugal, and he's like, no concerts. And I thought, wait a minute. It's a very American thing that someone tells you no, and we didn't accept that. And so it took me years to find concerts there. I found concerts there, and wow, my mind was blowing. I never knew some people could really be so enthusiastic about what I did. And so that was the entry ticket for me being in Europe, and I realized, this would be awesome to be famous in this tiny corner of Spain. And then I was doing concerts in different parts of Spain, and I ended up meeting someone who years later threw a festival in Lithuania, and that's how I got here. I was playing some music, and I thought, my first time in Lithuania, I want to check it out. And I really fell in love with you guys. It's the people really won my heart. And I thought, my concerts are very intimate. I learn a lot about my audiences through my interactions. And I thought, okay, you Lithuanians are good. And so I came back, and then I liked it enough to stay.
Oh, there you go. That's a nice story. Yes, it's always nice to hear how foreigners fall in love with Lithuanians, and just stay here, and what Today we're going to be talking, or at least the kind of the focus of our discussion today is going to be concentrated on this idea of personal branding. And I think that nowadays, at least this is what I get from my personal experience, we get a lot of different opinions and then suggestions on how to create, on how to develop the so-called personal brand. What do you have to do? We get those tips, we have the trainings, we have the courses which we can attend in order to first of all understand what is it this idea of developing personal brand. And I guess that your perspective, because you are, as you've said, the independent artist, and you already known as your own brand, and not only in Lithuania but let's say around the world. So tell us a bit about maybe your road to your brand. How did it become Zan Hoffman
Oh,
brand?
nice. I think I start just doing my own thing and being really enthusiastic about what I have to offer, and recognizing that I will never, ever reach some weird peaky situation where I'm my heroes, but I can do what only I am capable of doing. And so this is a first recognition that I am my own thing, and that I have the power within this recognition of that to control the narrative. And this is the exciting part of that thing. It's like, for one thing, you have your actual thing that you're up to, and that can be anything. I like in this podcast to tell you, you don't have to be me or anything that I'm doing, but what I have to offer you is a notion of taking control of your narrative. And the exciting thing is to recognize that all these little things that you're up to, we get lost in the creative minutiae of it all, but I think everything we're up to reflects on us. And once you just start owning this situation, it's exciting. It's not like, oh, I'm brand guy, I have to be some fake something that I'm not. No, I get to be what I am. And this can reflect back on my what it is I have to offer. And the joy is I am in control of that narrative most of the time. And I spent a lot of years doing advertising and understanding how seriously that people take this at the highest level. I was reading the Financial Times How to Spend It last week, and they had an article that said the people at the peak of their profession spend between 200,000 and 2 million euros a month to have people control their brand, to have people manage it. And I'm like, wow, we've got, it's just like from the very start, we've got the control over this narrative and how we want other people to approach us and think of us. And I think it exists beyond whatever the exact thing we're doing. And it goes on to me going to the market and me going to talk to a friend and me hanging out with people. And if I am an enjoyable person, people want to know more about me, and then they want to know more about my brand is. And then this helps perpetuate the positivity that I can associate with myself and my brand.
So is it what I'm getting kind of from you is that, first of all, you have to feel kind of comfortable in your own skin, don't you? Like, you first of all have to understand what you want, what you can offer, and who you are as a person. Yes, what you can offer to the society or a community, whatever, and feel good within that. And then rather than instead of trying to copy or to reach somebody else's standards, but you get comfortable with your own skin. And then I guess the next kind of step maybe, or the next moment that I felt from you is that this idea of probably networking, or importance of good networking. So as you said, what you can offer, what we need, what we can offer, what they need, and kind of this vice versa effect. So how do you manage to expand, develop, and control and manage your network, and how does that go for you?
Oh, networking is really a lost art and a lost joy that we can have. I think we get into this mindset that it's all work, and we're so lucky that it isn't work. And we're so darn lucky it isn't like, you got to put the thing on, you got to do this all day. We're actually in an ideal situation where we have the choice. This is our own situation. And networking is just about the joy of the interaction between you and anybody else who's up to something. And I think the thing that really occurred to me in Galicia is it's exciting to know what people are good for beyond what they're up to. Mm-hmm. And part of networking is getting along with people and getting narratives with people and discussions with people. And you will find that people actually are more engageable and more open once you open this channel, that we're just all humans. This is the big deal is this is the human side of networking. It's not like, oh my God, I had to go to this meeting and I had to network. It's exciting that you get to get into other people's things, and you never know what people are good for. And this is an exciting thing. I don't know what my friends or their big deal is, or somebody at the grocery, or I don't care what this is, but it's exciting that once you engage in this networking thing, that it's a part of discovery. It's a part of just the human nature of how we can enjoy things.
It's like you said, I think that very commonly, and I feel it myself, that I do tend to look at this idea of networking as work. Well, simply because it has the work inside it, doesn't it? But at the same time, what I was also thinking, and also it's interesting, what's your kind of perspective in there? I think that sometimes, in business and in especially in business environment, we tend to kind of, maybe wear different kinds of masks, with different kinds of people, clients, partners, because you have to evaluate, you have to measure, you have to, kind of calculate some things, and you have to strategize. I think, that this is how what we kind of see under networking, in many ways. But isn't it this idea of personal branding and personal brand is that it's you and you always remain the same because it represents you. So why would you then, wear those masks or put on different kinds of modes and hope to expand your network? But then what's the point? Like the main message is lost, isn't it?
Yes,
what do you think?
I think we can get into this idea that it's less about masks we need to worry about than just a nice, simple amount of filtering we need to do. It's not like I have to be a different person. It's just like certain things are on a need to know basis, and you don't need to share every silly thing in your life with someone. And that's really the only thing that should make you like concerned about a narrative that's very specific. And just don't open yourself up for ridicule or like, oh, that was kind of disgusting or off color. Just leave those things offside, and you can still be yourself and still be the awesome you, and not have to worry about all these, I have to think about, my brand is, blah, blah, blah. It's less that and more just like the joy of being you will engage people into whatever it is you're up to.
There you go. I liked your message, your point when you said that it's you have to be yourself with a bit of the so-called filter, that you have to kind of, you have to think about things, but at the same time, you cannot completely change yourself, and present yourself in a different manner. Being an independent artist, let's say in Lithuania or in other countries, what challenges do you encounter and how do you deal with them? And what would you recommend, let's say, for other independent artists in this business?
Excellent. One thing I think that I've just taught myself that has been the most useful thing is when you drop into another culture, you're not going to understand everything. You're not going to be the instant expert on it all. But I think it behooves you to just dig a bit into the cultural curiosity of where you're from. And then if you can just reflect that back on the place you're at, then people are in awe and respect and excited that you actually taken some time out to get to where they're coming from. This has been one of the biggest deals for me because, it's like, I'm not in Berlin and I'm not in Paris. I'm not in the obvious places. I'm in a really unique place. I was in the northwest corner of Spain. I'm here in Lithuania, and there are all sorts of really interesting and curious things going on here. And I think what is useful is to give the people who are natives here and understanding you're just not in here to use and abuse the situation and take and take and take, but you've actually gotten things from them that you find valuable. I think that's a huge door opener. There's a lovely story I like to tell. There is a group of musicians that is famous in the north of Africa called the Master Musicians of Jujuka. And they're famous because people always have visited them to study what they're up to. And the lead of one of the guitarists of the Rolling Stones found them, and all these people make this pilgrimage there. And they tell this story. They said, Don Cherry, the jazz trumpetist, is the only person who has given us something. Everyone else has taken something. And so I think if you can show up in a place that's not yours and you can give them back something, this is a huge deal. This just makes people feel warmer about why you're there and less questioning and less worried. And so it's less about, do I need to know the ropes of Lithuanian, how to fill out the forms, and no, it's less this than what's the cultural condition around me, and how can I use the nature of the people to make people warm to the fact that I'm here for a good reason.
Well, are you saying that there's always the so-called humane side of the story, isn't it? That in any way, when we speak about the product or the output of our activities, is that we always have to understand that there is a human behind it, isn't it?
You're totally on a point that strikes close to my heart, because we are humans. My God, we're not the brand. We have an opportunity to this is actually what we like about our favorite rock stars. People go, oh man, so-and-so, they tell this intimate story that is just totally marketed and made up, but people love this, and we don't have to make that stuff up. We are that. This is a beautiful thing then. And if you can find something that people find as a humane touchstone, they're in. They want this thing. I mean, if you have got a good reason for something that oh, I'm here because of something really quirky, they love that. Please bring that on. This is people are like, oh, this isn't just some generic, I'm here for the job and this qualifications and that's not why people want to engage in your brand. They want to find out that you're that human and you're that enjoyable situation that they can relate to.
I think that of course I may sound now a bit utopian, I guess, but isn't it, when we think about, let's say, business or anything, just like any activities that we do, we're very much, especially, recently, I guess, and for quite a long time, we have been mostly focusing and concentrating on different kinds of figures, on numbers, on the result, the long-term result, long-term effect, on something. And, those kinds of, forecasts and future guessing and what will work, what will not work. And it distances us from that idea, from human within ourselves and within, because at the end of the day, even our client or, the person that we're working with, it's still a human being. And we lost it. We lost that understanding a bit. And if we kind of regain that back in a way, wouldn't things be a bit easier or more?
I love where you're coming from. That's totally what I'm thinking. It's like we're, until we're a cog in Microsoft, Amazon, Apple.com's machine, we have the opportunity to engage on this level. You know, it's all very much that like, oh, wow, how cool. I mean, just how cool is it that we can do this? You know, I mean, we need to just totally reframe like, oh no, this tragic situation. I have to get the metrics and accounting is waiting for the spreadsheet. Blah 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 blah. But I think you make it not just a more satisfying work outcome, but you make it a life outcome. You know, I mean, my God, we're still in the end of the day, we're still leaving our lives. And there's no reason we have to be like miserable in the midst of work just because it happens to be work. I mean, my mom was on a lot of boards of directors of things. And she used to joke, my mom is just a joy. I mean, if you wonder where this enthusiasm, my mom is just a joy to be around, and always, if you're looking for her in a group of friends, she's laughing. And my mom always joked, oh, they just put me on the boards because I'm a laugh. Oh my God, they put my mom on the board because she's a human. And in the midst of all these horrible, freaking annoying spreadsheets and things you have to do and this, there's a human in the room reminding you of what the picture is. We're human. We're doing this thing. Can we laugh about this at least? You know, and I think this is just something that doesn't have to be excluded from what we're up to. We don't have to reserve the awesome side of us for our friends at some bar somewhere, you know.
I completely agree. I like I loved how you said that they chose your mother on board not because of any, but because she's a human being. And isn't it? You were also mentioning that in our previous discussions, and I think that we can also relate it to our previous podcast that we had, with this whole idea of mindset, and cleaning your slate, and kind of stripping yourself down, and getting ready for kind of bearing yourself, and getting ready for something, new, and changing your mindset a little bit. So as you were saying, that this fresh, good mindset is the foundation of any work, any business, any brand, isn't it? How does it help you? Like it's.
We have this opportunity to make our work enjoyable for us and other people as well. I think that we were discussing this earlier, the fact that that what is possible if you actually want to make what you do a joy, I mean, wow, now we don't have to worry about coming to work, and now we don't have to think of it in something. And so I have to say for myself personally, framing things is a huge deal on how I get my head together to approach stuff that I may or may not want to do. It's sort of like, well, I have to do stuff, and if I can get some headset, like, oh, what if it all looks like this, and what if, and this just opens up an opportunity for other people to recognize that we're not stuck in some mechanical situation, that we're all here, and how much fun is it when you bring out this side of people? My mom and I just have this chance. We have this ability to just bring a good side out of people, and then look what you get. Then everyone's on board and not like resentful. It's a huge deal, I think.
Yes, and it's all about, sometimes I think that, at least, what I've also noticed is that sometimes it's enough in a group, within a team, to have, at least one person with this, fresh, positive kind of attitude towards things. And then it becomes a bit more kind of, it infects others, doesn't it? It's like, it's enough, just to give it a bit of that. And then you feel that everyone else kind of, gets into the same kind of mode, or at least, maybe becomes a bit more relaxed. Isn't it? Do you feel that the same way?
I had a release years ago referring to you, me, us, and them emit contagious enthusiasm. I
love it.
And so
yes.
It's like, oh, I mean, I know I can be bit by it. I know someone's like, oh my God, this thing and that thing. I'm like, oh, wow. It's so exciting when people like, you just, absolutely, seemingly apropos of nothing. I'm walking down the Lysis Leia, or LA, as I like to say, and I'm smiling at people and complimenting people. And oh my God, what a joy it is to bring a smile from someone's face who doesn't have anything in the game at all. And you're like, oh yeah, look at this. Now this person is now in this state. And now that I put them in this state, the rest of the things around them are going to go well.
Definitely. I think, it's all about what you bring, and then it's the same what you get, from others. It's because humans are social animals, aren't they?
Yes. And then the bottom line is people want to be around you when you're known for being this, when you're a force of fun and awesome and whatever it is, whatever these things that you can bring out of yourself. And then it's not like, oh my God, I have to work with Hoffman again. You're like, oh, dude, we get to work with Hoffman. He's so fucking awesome or crazy. Whatever it is. Like, people then bring them the best them to the game, and then we're all in a much better shape.
For sure. What about engagement? Kind of, you were also thinking, kind of speaking about it, and I think that this is something that's, when building a personal brand or being a part of it, it's also, you have to be likable in a way, or as you were, I think, mentioning this, followable, or something like that. Yeah. So what do you mean by that? Could you maybe a bit elaborate on that as well?
I love this. Just on my personal situation, I am a artist who sings, and the stage the stage isn't doing anybody any good. That I'm up there removed from people is not gonna get anything. So I am intimate. I'm in with the people because that's why I am there. So this is my opportunity to be the most awesome self I can be. Because, other days when I'm in my home, I can just be cranky and Zan Hoffman, you're fatal, but here's my time, really. Otherwise, you got your whole life and you just worked it to death. And you're like, at what point do I get to have fun? So if you can at least bring that thing that you like to the table, then your life has become a better place to live in.
I guess that, when you're on stage, or let's say even when you're at work and on this imaginary stage, that we're all in at some point of the day.
Yeah.
I think that if we looked at it through this kind of lens that give your best, be the best way you can be, or the best version of yourself, and just, enjoy that moment. And I think, that then, of course, we all understand that people are tired. Maybe people, are juggling too many things at once, and therefore, they're not into that anymore that much, as they could be. But this whole, I think, that we lack that so much. Just when you're on that stage, let's say I'm a teacher, when I'm teaching, when I'm on that stage, I have to love it, and then my students will feel the love, and then they will feel that they will feel that enjoyment, and they will maybe learn even quicker, because that's the moment when I can shine. So I think that's an excellent message.
So true. Yeah. I'm totally behind the fact that people don't want to be miserable. They don't want to be stuck in some work situation where it's horrible and things. But I think you brought up something earlier that I'd like to at least comment on, and the fact that we are at work and we're giving a lot of things. And one of the things I had to learn in advertising was what is when it can be recognized that I'm doing my most. Sometimes we think that we have to put 27 hours into a day and we have to do all this stuff because it just proves our worth. I think once people recognize we're doing our work and not slacking off, then we can tell them, what makes me good is I'm ready for this thing, but I'm not a dog to be worked to death. I'm taking this break because you need me to be at my best. I think we need to give ourselves a break and let other people know that it's not because we're slacking off. This is because this is what makes us great humans, is because there's only so much of us to give, and we have a thing called the law of diminishing returns. After a while, you're just like, yeah, you're putting in the hours, but you're not getting anything done. So I think we need to create an open dialogue to let people know, yes, you see where I'm giving you my best. And what that involves is, I have to give myself a break, and we have to, give ourselves time to recharge, to bring you this awesome. And I think that's something we lose track of, and thinking, oh my God, I've got deadlines, and I've got my boss, and if I don't do this, So I think love yourself, then other people gotta love you. That's
Isn't it that what you're kind of saying, here, and I think that this is a kind of big struggle for people, or sort of majority of people to understand, is kind of understanding your own limits. Is that stop thinking that you are the robot, who can juggle everything, do all the work, finish all the deadlines. And as you said, put in 27 hours of work, a day or something like that. But just kind of sitting down and thinking, okay, I have my limits, and these are my limits, and that's okay. Because that's okay, you don't have to be that nonstop going machine.
I think this dovetails into our whole conversation. Once people recognize that we're humane, and that we're people, and we're lovable, and we're good, and we're doing our good work, then we can open up a dialogue of honesty to involve these situations, and we can let people in on what could be a little private thought. Well, I need to do this. We can let people into the dialogue of what makes us great, and what we need as humans in return for what we give.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Again, that idea of us and everyone else around us being human, the human perspective, that we tend to forget sometimes. That is something that's important. Zan, also, yeah.
I'm just positiving in here is that how awesome is it that we're this thing? And once people recognize we're that human thing, and then they cut us a slack, then they realize we're not a machine to be worked to death. Then we realize we're one of them, and this is how we all work. And then once you're relatable, then people can cut you some slack that you need in order to do your best work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all the elements. I guess, that when we think about, and it's not only about when we think about the personal brand, let's say, but in our daily, environment, is that, first of all, yes, you have to realize, who you are, what's your vision, what's your kind of aim or purpose in life. Once you set that out, then of course this idea of networking, and being enjoyable, as for others and yourself. And also thinking about this idea of, being a human and having setting your own limits, and then enjoying what you do, and then, actually being productive at that work. And then the numbers will, surprise, be also good.
Surprise, they will fill in themselves at that point.
Yeah. Then, less projecting and actually, doing the things that you're supposed to do, What's, let's say, being an independent artist here in Lithuania, in Kaunas, are there any I don't know, suggestions or ideas that you'd like to share with, let's say, other artists or other, just beginners, let's say, with beginning artists and creating or establishing themselves?
I have a new release. I have a new release called No Zan is an Island. And it's a joke on the concept, no man is an island, and the fact that there's no way I've accomplished what I've accomplished here alone. And don't be afraid to ask for people's help. And don't be afraid to show people what you're up to, because people want to know what you're up to. I think we're like, oh, well, I'm only doing this. No, people would love to see what you're up to. And then know that you're not an island, and know that you can reach out, and know what your friends like you, then they make your life less miserable. My friends come out of the woodwork to help me here in Kaunas because they like me, and they come out it comes out of the tender part of their heart. My friend Nareem is always like, oh, what can I do to help you? And can I do this? And maybe I can contact this person. That's because I've won this person onto my side. I'm not an island, And the other thing I want to say is, we don't know what everyone is good for or what we're good for until you get a robust conversation with people. And so I think this is a super valuable thing, is to have conversations that are wide ranging with people. And then you realize, oh, maybe they can tell you something you hadn't thought of that you're good for. Maybe you can help them with things that are part of your experience that you can help feed into that. I think these are super valuable things in making CONUS work for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something, that's an excellent message, just, for everyone else to hear that. And I think it's something that's so relatable, but, and so easy if you think about it. It's just sometimes the easiest things are the quickest to forget, or just to not pay attention to.
The stuff that doesn't cost us money. This didn't cost me 2 million euros a month to figure this stuff out. All these things I'm doing are totally cost-free ways of just approaching stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh my God, I had to take a seminar, and oh my God, I had to buy a fancy set of clothes or get some tools for I mean, we all can do this stuff. These are all simple, humane aspects of just showing people that you're awesome and you're worth their attention and enthusiasm.
And at the same time, being a good member of a community, isn't it? Because it's all
Absolutely.
about sharing, because we're humans, and as we established that, and being a part of the community, being a part of that, a member of that, and sharing the ideas, the knowledge or experience that you've gained, and just spreading it, to others.
Absolutely. And you find out all sorts of things you don't know once you start sharing. And that's the joy of it. My dad was where my mom at the party is at one, where everyone's laughing around. My dad has found someone in the corner who isn't talking to someone else, who's likely the smartest person in the room. And he's like learning and mind melding to the highest level, because like, wow, these people's what they have to offer, you just don't know. And this is the exciting thing about that aspect. It's like, oh, we get to learn in the process, we get to educate ourselves in the process of just networking and just being our human selves.
Mm-hmm. I think that, it's all in a way, I like your kind of course, the enthusiasm and positivity and everything, it's amazing. But at the same time, talking to you and you as being the representative, let's say, of course, your own personal brand, but at the same time, you as an artist, an independent artist, and showing that, putting kind of a more better and positive light on it, because we tend to think that it's being an independent anyone, it's hard, it's difficult, there are challenges, there are different things, that you have to deal with. But at the same time, it's possible, there's an excellent example, that it's doable.
And then we also put ourselves against a metric that is unachievable on a professional level. I'm not going to be Michael Jordan. I'm not going to be Jay-Z. I'm not going to be these things that require a mountain of talent behind me. And so it's not having these fake expectations for things that are just not even interestingly achievable. Once we accept that we're working on another level, but we are ourselves and we have that thing to be thankful for, then this is the exciting moment.
I could be talking to you nonstop, and I think that our listeners are really enjoying this because at the same time, you're sharing your experience and you're giving a lot of excellent tips. But unfortunately, the time has its limits, unfortunately.
And my phone has very small limits of battery, so I can't go on forever.
There you go, Well, that's the point, we still rely on technology. But we always say in this podcast, we have this a bit of a kind of a concept game, that we like to play with our listeners, our guests, sorry. I'm going to give you a few maybe main or the concepts that I kind of heard throughout our conversation, and I'll just give you a word. And what I'll ask you to do, just give like a quick reaction towards it. Okay, quick awesome. Maybe word to it, and we'll see, how it goes. So the first one is music.
Oh, wow. This is a thing that can touch us. This is a thing that is universal beyond language that we can all go like, wow, about.
Okay. Kaunas.
Kaunas is gerai. Conus beats himself up for not being villainous for no good reason. Conus is a super authentic piece of work, and it's full of authentic and interesting people I'm in.
Business
works at all levels. I think we need to be less like angry about the fact that its mechanics are beyond us and more into the fact that it's something that works for us.
Human being.
This is the base of it all. This is what we get to be, you know. In the end of it, we're artists and we're musicians and we're accountants, whatever, but really we're human beings. Come on, open it up.
I think that, you know, that's the main point that I'd like to end up with this, because I guess that's the core message that we, you know, we need to transfer to our listeners. Zan, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with me today.
I just want to say you're a great pleasure to be with and chat with, and I enjoy my time with you. So I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much. So I hope that our listeners are going to be enjoying it as much as I do. And please continue listening to us, following us. And I hope, and I'm looking forward to more and more excellent conversations with our guests. Zan, have an excellent Friday.
Thank you also. Take care, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Biz Culture. This is the podcast about the meaning of concepts in business.